Joyce. Well, thank you very much. I'm used to having good views. I'm an airline pilot. I got to tell you, it's a great view from up here. All of you champions of liberty, all of you activists, all of you lovers of America. It is a beautiful spot. I am a member of the Bring Home the Politicians. I've also been recognized by the Liberty candidates, nationally recognized, a national list that includes people like John Dennis, who is going against Nancy Pelosi. I'm also a member of Retake Congress. There's a short list of senatorial candidates there, including Rand Paul and one of my favorite economists, Peter Schiff. I have signed on with the Congressional Reform Act, which puts term limits, pay cuts, and benefit cuts on senators and congressional representatives. That's a little bit of my resume. I'm glad that you like that, by the way. I began in a working immigrant neighborhood. The Italians were on one side, the Irish were on the other side, and the church was up at the top of the hill. I watched my grandparents struggle with English. I've watched my wife, who grew up in Spain and Germany, struggle with American rules and American language. I know what assimilation looks like, and it doesn't look like this. In 1972, when I was a young teenager in a very Democrat area, there were 50 students in my class, one Republican, because I understood what fiscal responsibility meant. And in 1972, I walked into Richard Nixon's campaign headquarters and offered to help. When I was 19 years old, I swore to uphold and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I'm 53 now, and I still hold that oath dear. I took that oath as I entered the Marine Corps. I was a Marine Corps officer, and I served as a fighter attack pilot. I managed to survive a peacetime tour. Some of my friends did not. I took that little bit of resume, and I got one of the best jobs in the world. If you got to work, it's an airline pilot. I've been doing that for 23 years. I'm an international airline captain. I'm used to making decisions in a no-nonsense world. Decisions that count. Decisions that if you get them wrong, you don't get to talk about it. Is there any question that there's nonsense in Washington, D.C. right now? Now, folks, I have this funny idea that the same rules that apply to us should apply to the federal government. Thank you. You know, if you've got $1 and you try to spend $2, you're going to have a little bit of trouble. And if you've got $1 trillion and you try to spend $2 trillion, we're all going to have some trouble. Fiscal responsibility is not something we need a bill for or an amendment for. We need somebody who will stand up and say that deficit spending and debt are theft, and he won't stand for another penny of it.
Yeah, Chuck.
I believe that the individual is greater than the government. I believe that we must have a true free market system to maintain our prosperity. Thank you. We must have a limited government. If we do not have, preferably a constitutionally limited government, the government will seize all of your property and take all of your liberty. As a pilot, I do not believe we need to reinvent the wheel. I think some of the stuff has been done pretty darn well. We start with the beautiful Declaration of Independence, and it says it very clearly that we are all endowed with certain inalienable rights by our Creator. They don't come from anywhere else. We will maintain those kinds of rights, or we will lose the next thing, which is our Constitution. We can make it just a piece of paper if we forget how it really works. And if we forget that it is based on freedom, it is based on rights and liberty that existed before government, not after. And it is based on freedom. Folks, I want to give you just a couple things about who I'm up against, because you will see me on the ballot on November 2nd. That's what we're talking about. It's a ways out there. You will see the Libertarians on the ballot on November 2nd, and you will see a Republican named Johnny Isaacson. You will see me, and you will see a Democrat. The two Democrats have already said that they are progressives. We know what that means. That means more deficit spending. I want you to know that I would have voted no on TARP. I would have voted no on No Child Left Behind. I would have voted no on any expansion of the Department of Education. I would have voted no for Eric Holder and for Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. And I want you to understand further, thank you, that Johnny Isakson voted for all of those things. Not only would I have voted no, but a Libertarian Congress would have thrown all of that stuff out. That and the pork and the bridge to nowhere and those other things. Johnny was sent to Washington. He's been there for 10 years, and he has failed the spending test. I'm asking you to give me the spending test, and to do that, you're going to have to do one more thing. If you've been voting Democrat, you're afraid of the Republican winning. And if you've been voting Republican, you're afraid of the Democrat winning. I know what it means to vote out of fear. I'm asking you to not be afraid. I am not afraid anymore. I am going to stand up for these things: fiscal responsibility, limited government, and a free market. I stand behind your Tea Party contract from America, and I think there's only one thing wrong with it. I think the spending limits are not strict enough. I thank you very much for your time. It is a beautiful, beautiful spot here, and I was thinking to say God bless America, but you know what? That job's done. Now our job picks up. We need to pick up those blessings, recognize them, and work for them and keep them. Thank you.
Great.